What's up, everybody? It's Lay the House, or I'm here, and I'm sharing my daily fantasy and sports betting picks and plays for this Monday, August 19th. I'll be making plays on Prizepicks, Underdog Fantasy, and Sleeper in the beginning of this video, and then towards the end of the video, we're going to transition over some regular sports bets and some bets on the props market as well. The tools I'll be using on this video are paid subscription websites. The first one is Daily Grind Fantasy or dgfantasy.com, and we'll be using their fantasy optimizer tool to find plays on Prizepicks, Underdog Fantasy. And then we're going to head over to oddshopper.com, another paid website, where we're going to find a lot of the best prop bets out there for regular sports books like DraftKings, BetMGM, FanDuel, Hard Rock, Fliff, all the other regular sports books. Before we get into the plays and before we get into the tools, let's take a recap on how the weekend went for myself and other members in the Discord community. If you're not in the Discord yet, it is free to join. The link is in the description below and also in the pinned comment below. It's a really good place to be. It's honestly the best sports betting Discord out there because it's completely free for you guys. So here's what it looks like when you get in there. I have a whole section of betting education where you can get a lot of free resources to learn a lot more about positive expected value betting and just making more money with sports betting in general and on the pick'em sites as well. There's a section where there's big wins, where you can post all of your big wins for the week or the day, whatever nice win you may have, or any win, even if it's like $1, if that's a nice win for you. Post it in the big win section. I love to see other people having success in the community. I have two sections here, ARMS Fantasy Picks and ARMS Sports Betting Picks. This is where I post my plays every single day. The Fantasy Picks, it's mainly Underdog Fantasy, Prizepicks, and Sleeper. Occasionally I'll mix and dabble on some of the other websites, but for the most part, it's those three websites. And then Sports Betting Picks are my straight bets. They're all on Pick'It and on the Sharps app as well. But these are my regular bets on Hard Rock, Fliff, and Rebet. Since I live in the state of Florida, those are only three sports books that I could use, but there are ways that you could transition those plays into using them on like DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM. You just have to be able to find the right lines and find a similar line to what I'm posting in here. A few other sections here, Dami Locks, he posts a bunch of plays for Underdog Fantasy. Zach Betts posts some regular bets for Bet365. And then there's the whole general, sports sections where you can talk about the specific sports that you want to talk about, or maybe talk about your plays, share some nice trends that you might have, share any value. It's just a fully open community, so that's why it's a really good Discord server. There is a section here called Big Wins, like I mentioned before, where you can post all your big wins. You can see a few of us have posted some nice wins over the weekend. We had Dami Locks here posting a bunch of winners on Parlay Play, Prize Picks, and Sleeper. Myself with a nice win on Underdog Fantasy and on Sleeper as well. Chaz with a nice win on Bovada with a soccer bet, that is. Myself, I had two really big plays over the weekend. We almost hit massive on some of my 6-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy. We went 5 for 5 with a push on this one play, so it actually ended up paying like $90 on the 10, so it was like a 9x payout even with the push. If it didn't push, it would have been $250. So unlucky there, but it was a nice win nonetheless. And then we went 5 out of 6 on another one, which would have been 4x our payout because I'm risking $10 on these 6-pick entries. Then I had a nice sports bet on Friday, and then we also had, my results going into the weekend. I was up over $1,200. Gave a little bit back yesterday on Sunday on Hard Rock, but nonetheless, we're still up about like $700 on the month, so it's a pretty good month for us so far. Hopefully, I can improve my results with Underdog Fantasy, but one win can honestly just change that for the entire month. So now let's head over to Underdog, see if there's any promos for us. Looks like there's just the NFL promos still. I'm waiting. You see they're not due until 20 days from now. I'll probably make these plays, right before week 1, maybe like the Friday or Saturday before the game start, just because I don't want to have that money sitting there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even if like a play wins, because then I just got to wait for this one to pay out. So we're just going to keep rolling the money up until we get to this day, and then we'll make a play on these NFL promos here. So first, let's head over to Daily Grind Fantasy. This is what the tool looks like when you get in there. Like I said, this is a paid subscription tool. If you are interested in giving it a shot and trying it out, when you sign up using code LayTheHouseRM, they'll give you 25% off I think it's your first month or whatever. So if you want to give it a shot for cheap, I'd use my discount code and then, let me know how it goes. If you need help when you sign up, just reach out to me on Discord. Ask others in the Discord server. There's many other members who use this website. So it's a really good website, really good tool, and it's honestly super easy to use. So let me refresh it a bit because it's been a few minutes here, and the lines move so fast. So what this site does and what we're doing on this tool is we're trying to find the lines on Underdog Fantasy and Prizepicks that are discounts. So what does that mean by discounts? That means the line on Underdog Fantasy and Prizepick is better than the line on, say, DraftKings or Pinnacle or FanDuel. So you're kind of, say, like you're line shopping, you're like going to a store, you're trying to buy a TV, right? You're looking at Walmart, you're looking at Amazon, you're looking at, Costco, you're looking at Target. Out of all those 4 entries, you see Walmart's the cheapest. Well, that's what we're doing here with the sports betting, with the prop market on Daily Run Fantasy, is we're just trying to find the cheapest price for all these props. And when you make right decisions on the cheapest price every time, in the long run, it's going to work out for you, just strategically. It's just might take a large sample to get there, but in the long run, it will work out. So we're going to head over to Underdog Fantasy here, this plus EV plays tool. We're going to look at the 3-pick non-insured. This shows us all the plays that are worthwhile putting into a 3-pick non-insured entry on Underdog Fantasy. Right now, there's not a lot of plays. We got some soccer. We got a lot of esports. It's usually a lot of esports dominated because the lines on esports are pretty soft for the most part. But so we got the few esports plays here at the top with Marcos and Beaky. If you want a soccer play, Diego Conde under 3.5 total saves. I actually made an entry like that on Underdog Fantasy with him already. A baseball play, Kikuchi under 35.5 fantasy score. So that's a solid value on Underdog Fantasy. Then we have 2 other esports plays. So that, honestly, if you're making a 3-pick entry, I would just grab 3 of these from this tool right here, and it would be a 3-pick entry. I kind of just keep refreshing this tool over and over again throughout the day, trying to find good values for 3-pick non-insured entries, because those are the ones that you're going to hit more often. You're going to have, a 6x payout when it hits. It's kind of nice, a nice boost when you hit. So, for example, on unit size, I do $25 on the 3-pick entry, and then I only do 6-pick entries on top of that. And on the 6-pick entries, I'm betting $10 on these because it's more of a long shot. So let's take a look at the 6-pick insured entries and see how many more lines pop up for us. There's a handful of them. So if you wanted to do like a baseball specific play, you could almost do it. So you'd go with Kikuchi's under on the fantasy score, Tanner Hawk's under on the fantasy score, Lugo and Gosman all under on the fantasy scores. So those are the 4 best values in the MLB right now. I would combine that with Diego Conde under 3.5 goalie saves, and then there's one of the esports plays. If I was making a 6-pick entry on Underdog Fantasy, I'm heading back over to Underdog Fantasy. I do have a play that I already made. My esports play, it's not going too well for my waking cash, but that's all right. That's going to happen pretty often. I did make a good play here with Conde and Beaky, and then I combined it with Vicario, lower than 3 saves, which is another soccer match. He's another goalie. But if you wanted to combine it with any of these other plays, the baseball plays like Kikuchi, Hawk, Lugo, or Gossman, go right ahead. Now, if I don't filter by these positive EV tools, it's going to show me a bunch other options that we could pick from. And honestly, they're not all that bad. Even though it's not 100% positive EV, you can still find some decent lines as you go down the list here. Like, if you wanted to just get some more baseball plays, we'll head to League. We'll clear this. We'll just go MLB. And then if you want to see the top baseball plays on the board, after the Gosman, and, see these are the top 4 plays based on the value. Even these are decent. Like, it's not like they're bad values by any means. So, like, I'm a little more lenient when it comes to playing these plays because I like more volume. So if I wanted to get more plays on baseball, I'd go with Gurriel over 2 hits, runs, RBIs. Santander, Vasquentino, Cannon, all overs here, which is nice to see because you don't usually see a lot of overs in baseball with some value. So there is some really good value in the overs. I'd probably go all the way down to say like this David Hamilton would be the lowest I'd go. So I'd go with Hamilton under 0.5 total bases, Harrison over 1.5 walks allowed, Seager over on the runs, Rutschman over on hits, runs, RBIs, Martinez, Stone here. I would pick any of those and just combine it into a 3-pick entry or a 6-pick insured entry because those are the 2 entries in the Underdog Fantasy that have the most value. Heading over to Prizepicks, let's see what they have on the board for us. So the most optimal way to play in Prizepick is a 5 or 6-pick flex play. Honestly, that's the only way you should play in Prizepicks. Don't even mess with these other stuff. So on the 5-pick plays, there's only 5 picks on the board. So honestly, these are the 5 plays you should put together in your 5-pick entry. Lugo, Gossman, Hawk, all unders on the fantasy score again, which just means that Prizepicks and Underdog Fantasy are overvaluing their fantasy scores as compared to the other sports books out there. Mix in an esports play with Alex and then Sabalenka over 4 breakpoints 1 on the women's tennis. That's a solid 5-pick play on Prizepicks. If I take off the filter and just kind of look at what's out there for MLB, just to take a look. So MLB here. After we get below Hawk, you can go with no runs in the first inning on the Athletics game, Athletics and Rays. L.A. De La Cruz over on the fantasy score, Lugo over on the strikeouts. You see this kind of goes against the fantasy score, so you could just take either or, and there's a decent value. So because you see over 5 strikeouts on Prizepicks, it's 5.5 on all the other major sports books. This line will move to 5.5 at some point in the day today. Not sure when. It might not be until right before first pitch. It might be within like 10 minutes from now. There's really no way to tell. But there is good value on this Seth Lugo line. If it goes up to 5.5 and you miss the 5, the fantasy score is probably your best bet, taking the under on the fantasy score, just because your value isn't there on the strikeouts. Going down the list more, Steer over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Jordan over on the strikeouts if he plays. I know he sat out yesterday. Not sure if he's injured or what's going on with that, or if it was just a rest day. But Gavin Stone under on the strikeouts. Then we have some overlap here. Martinez over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. And I'd go all the way down to Chapman under on the run. So any of these plays from Chapman all the way up until Seth Lugo are solid plays. If you want to use this tool with Daily Grind Fantasy, like I said before, 25% off using code LayTheHouseRM. I use this tool every single day to make my plays. Now let's head over to OddsShopper and take a look at some of the regular bets, and we'll look at Sleeper as well, because Sleeper has been really good to us on OddsShopper lately. Not sure if there's any value on the board for us just yet, so let me refresh it. Yeah, there's really no value on the board on Sleeper yet today. You see if I generate the optimal play, it's negative 10% EV. Like, that is just not good by any means. And even as I take off some of the worst plays, it's still 5%. Get down to 2%, which is okay, but it's still not something I really want to play on Sleeper. Usually there's some really good value later in the day, and I'll post some plays, because as you can tell, I've made some really big wins on Sleeper. I think I hit like $78 last night on 10 on a play on Sleeper, so that's 7.8x on my payout. And then like last week, I had a 14x, I hit a 16x. There's just some really big payouts you can get in Sleeper. So those are, that's really the place to go if you want some really big long shots. And it's worked out really well. OddsShopper's tool on Sleeper is probably the best out there. It blows Daily Grinds out of the water. But Daily Grind is a little bit better for Underdog Fantasy and Prizepicks. So that's kind of like my honest review of the two websites. But now let's focus on the regular sports betting picks. So on OddsShopper, this is where you'll find your prop market on the market-based EV bets tab. So since I live in the state of Florida, I only have Hard Rock and Flip, and it's really hard to find value on both those. India and Steer under on RBIs are okay value, but it's not really something I want to lay the juice on. So let's say like I'm in the state of like Illinois or like New York or something, and I want to see the top values on the board. The top value is actually New Orleans Saint money line on this Sunday in the preseason game. It's just because it's a discount on FanDuel as compared to all the other sports books. Focusing on today, though, Spencer Steer under on the RBIs with some overlap with what I saw on Hard Rock. That's on Caesars. And then on Bet Rivers, you got some good value here with Kikuchi under on the strikeouts. Mackenzie McDonald on the money line is okay, but I really try to stick to anything 3 or higher on the OddsShopper rating. Even though all of these are technically positive EV plays, I try to find the strongest EV plays and just take advantage of them. If you wanted to make a play on every single one of these that's 1 and above, there's nothing wrong with it by any means. I just try to be more narrow on it because I have so many other plays that I make on OddsJam that it's just so much value out there, and I really don't want to place like 50, 60 bets in a day. So I'll focus somewhere around 20, 30 range that I find on OddsJam, and then maybe like 3 to 5 that I find on OddsShopper. If you want to give OddsShopper a shot, it's a little bit cheaper than Daily Grind Fantasy, and I do have a promo code for, I believe it's 10% off. The code's LayTheHouseRM, so if you want 10% off on OddsShopper, that's how you would get it. And then heading over to OddsJam, one final tool for you guys. So this is a tool that I use to find my positive expected value bets for Hard Rock Sportsbook and Flip since I live in the state of Florida. Honestly, it's just a lot of tennis right now. I haven't even placed any of these bets. It's a lot. Usually it's a bunch of overs and unders on the total games that are all plus odds. Just because they're a discount, you see it's comparing DraftKings to Hard Rock here. Hard Rock's plus 115. DraftKings is minus 125. But it's just showing you some decent value. So, like, if I wanted to make the under on DraftKings, it would cost me minus 120. But since I'm making it on Hard Rock, it's plus 115. So that's why this is a 4% expected EV. So for every $100 that you bet, you're expected to get $4 in return on that bet. So that's just some of the top plays on the board for OddsJam. I'm not going to go too deep into it because that's where I kind of post most of my sports bets in my sports betting Discord. So be sure to join the Discord. Hopefully you guys can make some cash today. Let me know if you like these videos or if there's anything else you want to see from me. Best of luck on your plays today, and thank you for watching.